I prefer divesting in the event of lack of performance as opposed to vesting. So that, in other words, you get everything now and it's yours to lose if you aren't able to perform. So you can say, I guarantee my performance, and if for some reason I don't perform, then this will divest. That I like better because now you have all of the benefits early on, as opposed to having to earn into them over time or performance.
Basically, like what I'm thinking is creating a consulting company that also, as a women-owned business, then by me owning 51% more, and then using those incentives that are created with grants and partnering up with consulting to these real estate companies. So helping like apply for all these affordable housing and whatnot, different, energy efficiency grants that they otherwise wouldn't be eligible for, since so much real estate is guy owned.
Yeah, and it's a great strategy for all of you that we're doing one of our Epic members is doing an $80 million acquisition right now with a contracting company that's government contracts. And the reason that the deal is able to happen is because of how the requirements are for the minority owned businesses. So there's a lot of opportunity there. I've had a lot of good luck with that in the past. So I like that strategy.
Okay, cool. So, and this is just me chat and ChatGPT, like really thinking this through, but so now bringing you into it. So the idea, like they're already a team of 3 guys who are starting already early on. And I know this is like all in your material, but again, I haven't like even gotten to the point where I can so much look at it. So just kind of thinking through it quickly of where I can look. Like,
Sure.
so I create the consulting company. I get a fee for it. We're at the point where they've said they definitely like want the legal experience. I haven't even proposed this women's owned business company, but they have like so much going on just from like the legal side. Also, I get the tax benefits because I get real estate professional status, and my husband's a high W-2 income earner. So I could take the losses and offset it. So I get like paid from the government as well, essentially. I don't really know how to like they like through the consulting company, is it really just going through and kind of, they're like looking at me and I'm like, they're like, what do you want, Candice? And how do you want to propose it? And like, so I know about like, that would be vesting over time and being a part of the promote. But kind of like just thinking through.
Do you, for what you're thinking about doing, the very first thing is to say, okay, let's look at some hypothetical transactions that the benefits of what you're proposing, at least on the woman-owned business side of it, might generate. You would have to say, first, what are the qualifications that are required? Sometimes it's just a controlling interest. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes it is just an amount that is required. Depends on the programs that you're looking at working with. So I would identify that. And then can it be that you have, say, 51% of the equity, but maybe there are profit share splits that are different? Or could you have that entity enter into consulting agreements with independent contractors who wouldn't own the contract, but the other people that would be involved would be able to effectively get up higher than 51%, or excuse me, than 49% if you are required to have 51. So that's the first thing from a structural standpoint.
Right.
Would be,
I guess from there, I thought it was that if I brought in this consulting company and I brought it in as a management company parallel to their management company, and then I also own an interest in the property because I'd be a passive investor, which helps me all with reps, that then I could just do the contracts with the management company and I own that entity completely. And then like I wouldn't even need to I wouldn't need to go directly into their structure. I could bring this other entity into the property.
Yeah. So it just depends on what are the requirements of the programs you're trying to qualify for. So generally, whatever that is where I start. And then I say, okay, how do I get compliant? And then what are my goals? And then can my goals and what I've currently got to be compliant, does that work? If it does, yay, then we're good. If not, then it's like, okay, well, where do I need to be creative to come up with things that will help me to be compliant, but also have everybody be happy. So that's really the way to start.
Yeah, so I think it does it from my, research it's all compliance. So then it's just a question of asking, like, would you structure it as a percentage of however much money I get for like the grants, or would you structure it as, like any deal, they have a few properties undergoing like hours. I don't know. I guess that's kind of where our conversation.
Never hours, because we don't want to tie what we do to time, unless it's on the front end for a consult. So in terms of the equity, it's just what is it to be worth your time, right? So the easiest way to do that is to take a hypothetical transaction and say, if I look at the average transactions that I anticipate that we'll be doing, or you go back and look at the ones that they have been doing, how much do I need to get to make this worth my while where I'm excited about it? And then we structure around that.
Okay, so just look at like the properties and the promote structure and the asset management fees, and then think about how to, okay, and then I guess
And I would rank, like, if you've got 5 potential sources of income and wealth there, I would rank them in what's the most likely to be successful, or do they all have equal risk profiles as to whether they will actually mature and happen? If they do, it doesn't matter. But if they don't, then I would weight myself more heavily in favor of the ones that have the higher probability of success at the greatest volume.
Right. Okay. And then I guess it would be like, because they also want to like test me out and I want to test them out in some ways. So like it'd be like vesting over time or whatnot, all tied to the property and like the IRR. And
I like vesting over time much less than I like vesting based on performance if I have to pick one of those things. So if there is a way for you to accelerate, or I prefer divesting in the event of lack of performance as opposed to vesting, so that in other words, you get everything now and it's yours to lose if you aren't able to perform. So you can say, I guarantee my performance, and if for some reason I don't perform, then this will divest. That I like better, because now you have all of the benefits early on, as opposed to having to earn into them over time or performance.
so like in a legal world, right? Because that's like what my background is. I mean, on top of everything else, but like I feel like it's different than it's like if you're marketing or like you can easily like increase. I'm just
I
thinking.
don't think it is. My background is legal world too. That's how I got into all this. So no, I don't think it's different at all.
Cool. Thank you so much. I have a call.
I mean, do you have a specific thing that causes you to believe it's different?
Well, I guess I'm just trying to think of like, how do I really prove my worth in an economic terms?
Okay. What are you supposed to do? What's the value? What is the list of deliverables that you have for these people?
Like help them structure the entities, or you're bringing in a family office, negotiating the term sheet. I mean, like helping with like compliance, structuring.
Great. Then you can create the value if you want with an analog to what you would charge to do that. So normally I would anticipate I'm going to do that about 10 times. And normally it would be about $10,000 in hours to do that, because I charge, just for ease, I charge $100 an hour and it takes, 100 hours to do. Therefore, the value of the services that I anticipate bringing would be 100K. You can pay me 100K now and I'll do it. Or I take equity, typically 3 to 5 times the value of the services, because obviously I'm taking the risk that things happen or don't happen. Therefore, the value that I'm adding here would be 300 to 500,000 of the total. We anticipate that the total is going to be 10 million. So I would have 3 to 5%, or, I mean, that's how I would do it.